Welcome to tonight's team call. I thought we could do something a little different. We do a lot of training and a lot of accountability and activity and action and motivation and mindset work and just all these things. It got me thinking just like, okay, what do we need to sort of strategize to be able to put out content and to kind of continue to evolve? Because part of this with this business is just like almost looking at yourself as evolving as an individual, right? Because it's like you set these business goals and maybe you got out of your comfort zone and you're courageous and you did this or that or the other. And as we do this, it's really magical how we can feel like we're evolving because we are, because the more you do, the better you get, and new skills come into play, and you just feel more confident, and just all of those things are so important and so such a gift in this business. And I think that's something that we discount and we forget about. So I was thinking about that, and I'm like, my story over the past 10 plus years when I started network marketing in 2014 has really shifted. I didn't even plan to share this, but I started very unsure, knew nothing. I knew that if I wanted to gain trust and for people to feel connected to me, I knew that I had to share my story and I needed to be bold and I needed to get out of my comfort zone and do the things that someone who was maybe successful, whatever that means, to each and every one of us. But looking at someone who was successful, okay, what were they doing in order to succeed? And I did those things. And then as the years went, moved on, I gained confidence. But not only that, I'm sorry, you probably can't hear that, but my computer is dinging. Um, but not only that, I started to shift and learn more about myself. And then life changes and our journey changes, and we just everything, right? Life is ever changing, and therefore my story changed, and my connections with people changed, and who I was attracting changed. And it's just a beautiful thing that we can evolve and learn so much and grow so much from point A, to point B, and kind of look at that. And so it got me thinking about how we can each go about sharing our story and our journey. And so I want to ask you, like, and then it got me thinking about just content. So it's like we have all these things that we're trying to do to share, so how do we turn that into content? And sometimes I think that's hard for people because, you can share, it's like share your story, share your story, share your story. But what if you're feeling like you need to brainstorm around your story? Or what if you're feeling like you need to pick some pillars and things that you can focus on to grow, to share? And this just is always where, like, I remember this when I was writing my book. It was like, I remember like being in it and like I'm writing and writing and writing. And then like I would step away from it for a few days because life. And then I would be like, ugh, like I don't even know where to begin. I'm not feeling creative. I'm not feeling like I have like I don't know, capacity or I guess just creativity to put anything else out there right now. But once I dug in and once I started again, and got the wheels turning, right? Then I was inspired and it was like, all right, that's really good, or that's a really good thought, or that's a really good point, or I can really go off of this, right? So I wanted to do like just kind of a brain map session with you guys and walk you through it a little bit so that you guys can do this on your own and we'll kind of do it together. And I would love to have as much interaction as we can. And it's not a big deal, but it just would be fun. And so the first thing I have is like, what are your current goals? Current content goals. So, like, when we're creating content, it's like, why are we creating the content? Well, is your main focus, and there's many focuses, but it's like, is your main focus to grow followers, build trust, drive sales, educate, inspire, like, and I would think that each one of us wants to do all of those things, right? When we're doing that. And you might, but I think that sometimes there's certain points of focus. For me right now, it's interesting because I have like this new like gut healing health liver detox journey that I just kind of stumbled upon with no plan in sight. And it has been like the most fun thing, I think, to talk about. And it's something that I never envisioned, that I never, it was never on my vision board or my like thoughts or my brain map. Would have never been on my brain map, or I would have never thought that people would relate, want the information, and it's just been wild. And so I share that because there's so many things that we can go off of, but I think right now for me, I'm like, okay, I'm really trying to like grow my account. I'm really kind of trying to connect with some new people. And I'm really having fun with it, where there's times with social media that I haven't had fun and that I'm not feeling creative and that I'm feeling stuck and I'm feeling stagnant and my story feels blah, to be really honest. And I think that's really normal and common to feel that way, because even though life is ever changing, it's not like we always have new and fantastic, exciting events happening that, always bring us to that creativity mark. But I'm hopeful that this exercise could put you into the place of creativity and help you pull some things out that you might be forgetting. So, with that being said, so like first, and you've done this, but you guys have done this before. This is nothing new to you. I did it in grade school. I did it when I wrote my book, but I want you guys to write. I encourage you to do this now. Like you don't have to, but it would make sense to just kind of jot some things down right now while we're going through this real quick. And then you can elaborate on this later, but this will be something that you can kind of pull things from. And because when we have an idea on paper, that idea, I guarantee you, every single idea, thought that you have, you could do 5 to 10 posts off of. Because I always say this, but when I shared my anxiety journey years ago, if I were to share that journey today, it's different on my heart today than it was 6 months ago, 6 years ago, right? Because we're evolving, because it's different on our heart. And with that being said, so like we think sometimes like our story is boring or we don't have much to share or whatever. But like I said, I want to pull these things out of you guys and get you thinking. But because then when we have this certain thought, like, for example, for me, it's like I'm on this new gut health journey. So I wrote like in the middle, I just want you to write like me, my story. Okay. So you're just coming, it's just you, right? And we're trying to pull these pillars off. So one of the big ones right now, and these pillars change because our interests change, our lives change. For me, even with anxiety, like that was such a big piece. And I'm trying to almost pull myself away from that title and that label for kind of my own reasons, but it's not such a huge pillar for me anymore um, in that terminology. Okay. But anyhow, so one of them is like my new gut health journey. Okay. So that kind of encompasses a lot of things, right? Off of that, I could put like liver detox. Okay, off of liver detox, I could talk about the certain things that I'm doing, the products I'm using, the routine that I have, things that I'm incorporating into my day that would be on that, right? Because I can come up with so many posts just from that alone, right? Whether it's education, inspirational, and that sort of thing. And then off of that, I had like holistic tools. So, like, what tools am I using specifically that I could talk about? And then as I learn more about this and figure all this out and try to figure this out, I can share more, right? Because we're always trying to learn and grow. So, my other pillar, I did have anxiety, right? So, off of that, it's like there could be different things. Like I have medication I take. Okay, I could share about that. I have a story with that. I could talk, Green Compass could come off of that. Then I have a whole other pillar of just Green Compass, right? And then I have the wellness side of Green Compass, and then I have like the education piece, and then the like the farming, and there's so many pieces, right? And then the other pillar I had, the last one I had, and this was just very quickly me just like throwing it out there is just like ingredient education because it is important to me and something I've done for years. And then I like had pillar off of that of like products that I like. And then that goes into like, okay, I have personal care products that I like and that I recommend for people that I feel like are good options. And then I have maybe food options that they should look into, right? And so there's so many things in that aspect. So maybe like I'm thinking, let's take a couple minutes and write this out and think about this. And I think something that's important is I want you to get specific. I want you to go. I did this exercise. Forget where I did this exercise. It wasn't this one, but it was similar in the fact of like, okay, get more specific. Okay, get more specific than that. Okay, and even more than that, right? Because it oftentimes goes down to a feeling, right? Like if we talk about wellness as a whole, that's not even specific. Wellness is such a broad category, right? Like what are you talking about? You talking about physical activity? Or are you talking about like you're talking about, a certain way you're eating nutrition wise? Are you talking about supplements that you're taking? Like what are you talking about? So it's like we need to get into the specifics because, and this is what I try to share when we talk about our story. If we're talking to everybody, we're talking to no one. Okay, so this is also going to help us get to our target market reach, right? And who we're trying to attract. But being specific is always so good because there is that person sitting there right now that has that same thing or that specific note or whatever point of education that you're bringing out is going to put a light bulb off in their brain and it's going to inspire them, right? And you're gonna like be, and you might not know it, but they're reading this and they're like, wow, I'm connected to her. And there was like a recent data or something taken or done on Facebook, just FYI, this is off the subject, showing that people are liking posts less. So, interestingly enough, you might be noticing that on your Facebook. You might be feeling like people aren't seeing it. I've had a lot of engagement on my Facebook in the last few days with people wanting information about my Loom box and my gut, what I'm doing right now for my gut. But I've done a couple posts where it didn't get much, right? But I'm also just trusting that like the right person's going to see it and it's just what it is. But anyway, so we want to be really specific because in doing that, you're going to be able to create so much more mini pillars off of that main pillar to focus on. Because I think oftentimes it's like, even when we talk about Green Compass, right? It's like we talk about like a product, but like how specific are we being about that product? Or are we just talking about like the body and the endocannabinoid system and la, 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 and there's all these things and people are just like, whoa. Like they don't know. They're like, I have migraines and that's my main chief complaint and you just went over my head, right? We're never going to know. Sometimes we spit out too much information. That's nothing to fear. My point is just that it's really good to be specific. And I've found that when you are, it's really neat because you see those people that are like, oh, I want to, I need that or whatever the case is. And it just, like I said, helps you dig deep into your, like, I don't want to say niche, but like into what you're going to share and what's valuable information instead of just putting out a very vague um, branch, Green Compass, CBD, anxiety, whatever it is that you want to kind of encompass that's a broad term that we really need to get specific on. So I would love to know like your pillars, if you have a second to just like throw out a few pillars that you have that are like you just for thinking and then like um we can kind of move on to the next thing. And this might be something where you need to take some time and think about it, but it doesn't need to be difficult. It's like if you're on the other side of this post, if you're on the other side of these thoughts, right? What do you need to know? If I'm on the other side of me, That's a good analogy. If I'm on the other side of me and I'm looking to find out what I'm doing and what works for me, then I can think about all the things that I know to be true and that I've learned that I can transfer to the people, right?
I have a
Yeah.
question. I I mean, you know my story. I have a lot of information to share. Like right now, even when I'm going through, it's just like you hit the head on the nail. Sometimes it's where do I start or how much do I start? And it's like organizing my thoughts and feelings. And then I can get to that part, but then it's who am I targeting? Because I have different people now,
Right.
and I don't want to exclude one targeted area because all my different areas are growing. Like I tip my toe in different area, like hitting out the people who are grandparents. I never even thought of doing that, and that started going up. Or, of course, this. So how do I navigate and like bring that together?
So that's a good question. So I think that it's one of those things where like it's not just one or two or three things sometimes. Like we're complex humans with a lot of different knowledge and obstacles and life things. And so I think it's one of those things where when you speak to the people that you're speaking to, and then tomorrow you're speaking to the other people. And
Okay.
it's not that like, and when I say if we're speaking to everyone, we're speaking to no one, or if everything's important, nothing's important, I don't mean to overthink like that it has to be so specific that like you can't, like you can't just be yourself and put out
Yeah.
what's on your heart. But I just think that sometimes whatever, like I always say, like whatever's on your heart today, that's what you should share. So if it's heavy, share it. If it's exciting, share it. If it's educational and you're feeling inspired and creative in that way, then share that. And then it's going to speak to the people that need to hear that. But being well versed and being well rounded is also a great thing. So it's not a bad thing at all. That you don't have to be, yes, you do. You do a good job. You don't have to be so specific. When I say specific, I mostly mean so that we can get to ideas for content so that then it's like, okay, I have this pillar off of this or this mini pillar off of this pillar and I'm going to share about this today and educate on this. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
don't overthink that. You just do you. And this is just a really good exercise if we like really need to pull some things out.
Okay.
So with that, so it might take you guys like, when we get off of this, you can kind of throw a little bit more out there, maybe think a little bit on this for a couple days. Um, and also trusting that you're going to expand and that things are going to evolve and you're going to learn more and that is just going to allow your pillars to kind of be a little bit more in depth and you'll have more to share. But the other question then out of this, so then we have all of these things that we're wanting to share and that make us us and that are pieces of our story and you want to think about your story as just like these breadcrumbs that we're dropping, right? And these, because if we're not taking people along this journey with us on what we're doing, I think sometimes we get so focused on business and the tasks and the action behind sharing Green Compass that we become less relatable with just the things that everybody needs to hear, right? And so I mean, it's just like if I was to do a post right now about Green Compass and CBD and all the things that make it wonderful and whatever it is in my story and that, I'm probably going to get less engagement because people have already heard it a bunch. That's mainly why. I'm probably going to get less engagement than if I do a post right here, right now about what's going on in my current gut health, whatever journey that I'm on, right? Because people are just going to be like, "Oh, okay, like gut health and this that encompasses this and now she's talking about this and I want to know what she's using and that sort of thing, right?" So being mindful of creating that trust and connection, because one of my biggest things, and I've always done this and I've spent years doing this, and it's the most important thing, in my opinion, to be on social media is to build trust with people. Like, I don't, beyond anything else, I don't care. I
Yeah.
want people to feel a certain way when I tell them that this could help them, when I tell them that this is a safe product or whatever the case is. Um, so with all of that, all of those pillars and things, now we want to kind of create like a purpose. So if I were to say, like if I were to ask you, and we did this at a Green Compass event, Jocelyn was with me and we did this, and it was actually really painful. It was actually very, I don't know if you remember, Joss, I'm sure you do, but it was like that last day and they decided to do this like brain racking activity and we were so tired, and it was the very last morning we were leaving that day and we were like, we're not feeling it. But anyway, but I'm not going to make you do all of that. But coming off of this, it's like if we think about what is our purpose, and if we were to create, if you were to create a statement like your core mission, this is just kind of, it really is kind of fun because it's not difficult. They were making us do very intense brain work, but if we were to create a core mission statement off of all of that, what would that look like? Okay, now I wrote this down. This isn't super pretty and fancy, but this is just what I came up with on the fly. So if I were to create a core mission statement in like less than 60 to 90 seconds, it would be this: to educate and empower women to get to the core of their healing by sharing tools that make it less overwhelming and that give them a stepping stone on their journey. So when we, and that's really not something you're necessarily going to use and put out there per se, but it's something to think about, because when we think about all these things that we're sharing and all these specific windows and pillars, it's like, who do we want to be? Who do we want to show up as? What do we want to share tonight, tomorrow, that we feel like will help someone on the other side move the needle forward just a tiny bit in their healing journey, right? And I think that's exciting. I think each and every one of us have something that we know right now that would allow and help someone to move the needle forward just a touch, right? And so that's something to think about. And then you want to think about like, who's your target market? And really, like, kind of like what I was saying earlier, if I was on the other side of myself and I didn't know all the things that I know, then I would be my target market, because I'm drawn, because it's me and I'm me. But like, I'm drawn to the things that I'm drawn to, and this is, hopefully this is making sense. It's a very weird analogy, but it's like you're drawn to the things you're drawn to, and the things that inspire you are the things that are going to inspire that person on the other side looking to be inspired, right? And so it's just a matter of us being that person and sharing those pillars and sharing those ideas and those thoughts. And when I've shared this for years, but when I do a post, and I wasn't like thinking about sharing this necessarily, but it just is kind of on my mind. When I share a post, I always take one thought. Like, I take one thought, one idea, and that's how I start my post. And then I just start writing. The best thing you can do is just start writing and give them a couple nuggets to take from that post. You don't need to give them 20 nuggets to take from that post, because it's way too much to digest, and they don't need that. They need one. Most people are going to take away one thing from your post, and only one, no matter if you have five great nuggets in there. And that's only if they're not overwhelmed enough and distracted enough with ADHD or whatever it is, distractions, to scroll on from your post and not even read the whole thing, right? So we want to like grab their attention, and we want to be a source of knowledge for them. Not that every post has to be this profound thing. I don't mean that either, because it's important for us to also just do posts that create engagement, that just do posts that are fun, that are about our family, that have no layer of layers, right? It's just us. Um, so think about that on your, who's your target market. Now, the other thing things I had wrote down is like, if you're thinking about, so I had on my paper, on the other side, I had like a column of reels, stories, and posts. Okay. So this is just like now you could take all of that you just those thoughts and the pillars and all the things, right? And now you could take one of those thoughts and you could make it into a real idea. And maybe it's going to start with 5 reasons why da 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 da. Okay? Or so that's a hook thing, right? We could use. I just did like a five, what did I just do? Like a 5 reasons you need a red light yesterday, or something was my reel yesterday. So, 5 reasons why. The other one could be like the one thing that you aren't doing that will make all the difference with blank. Because people want to know what the one thing that they're not doing that will make all the difference with blank. They want to know that, right? I would want to know what I'm not doing because I want to do what I'm not doing to make it better. And then another idea would be like, I finally cracked the code with what? And then the last one I had wrote down just kind of ideas, and there's a bunch of hooks out there you guys can find, and I can find more for you if that's helpful. But I put most people skip this step. What's that, right? I don't know. But make though you can make those custom fit to your pillars and what you're doing with your story. Um, and then I had Yes, I agree. And it makes a big difference on engagement. It really does because I was doing like reels where I would say like something like I'm trying to think of it even an example um like where it was more of like a story or it was more of like a I don't want to say it was a story, but it was just a longer text of like it had maybe some catchy things in it that would attract people, but it wasn't enough to get them to want to know information. And it's almost like these days with the attention span and with social media evolving and everything else, you've got to give them something that they can't not know. Um, and not every reel, not every post has to be like that. Some posts it's just like just have fun with it. Like I did a pooping post yesterday and I was like when I did it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be judged for this. I think I'm gonna be judged for this. The moms at my kids' school, like, I think like they're gonna judge me and like these other people, and I'm just like, they're gonna think I'm tacky and that it's disgusting. And then I was like, well, people need to talk about poop because it's like something that's really really a struggle for me. And so I'm always fascinated by how to poop. And so anyway, so I put it out there and it's literally like it's over, I don't know, 20,000 views. I don't care about views, but it's just the fact that like you don't know and we discount ourselves and it's the stupidest thing, but I was sitting in my chair and I thought to myself, it's like just now noon and I've pooped 3 times. And I was so excited. And then I went in the bedroom and Aaron was laying on in his bed on the phone and it was like it wasn't bedtime and it wasn't soup it was noon clearly, but he had went hunting, so he was just laying there in bed on his phone and I'm like, I think I have a real idea. I'm just gonna talk about pooping. And he's like, okay. And so then I just threw it out there and like whatever. But anyway, my point is like there was not a ton of thought that went behind that reel. Besides, I was like, this audio will work. Okay, I think I'm just gonna do this in the bathroom and this will tie it in, and then I'll just talk about what I'm using. So anyway, that's how my brain works. I'm not a big planner. I'm more of a fly by the seat. But when I feel the urge to say something, then I just need to say it. And sometimes I say it and I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that. But then other times it's like, okay, and everybody like wants to know what I'm doing. And so let that be a
We can
lesson.
talk about poop anytime. That's how my family, when Vicenta saw it, I was cracking up and I didn't know he was. And I go, are you watching Tabitha's thing? And he goes, seriously, we talk about shit at dinner. We talk, I was just dying. And you're talking about it now. And that's another thing because I had to bring up my colon today. you're talking about poop, and I'm like, I got you, girl.
Right, right.
But
So
it's true. But I do find when like those are when I wake up at 2 in the morning, which pisses
right.
those have gotten so much interaction, and all I think is, why are you up at 2 in the morning? And it's like you said, the easiest things, if it's on your mind, spit it out.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. And if chances are, if you are thinking that it's helpful and that you think it's catchy and funny, then it is, right? Like you're gonna find your people that way. And so with that, I don't even know where I was going with that, but then it's like you could do a column. So now you have these real ideas, and then you can do a column for stories. Okay, for stories, I think stories can be vague. It could be just like day in the life, right? Like what I'm doing, what I'm cooking, what I don't know, something, or it could be more specific, like here's, this certain supplement I started that's helping my digestive system, or, I did X, Y, and Z with my nutrition, which has then like cleared up this, that, and the other. So I have a lot of things that I'm like, this happens to just be a fun, exciting, I feel like time in my like journey where it's not like, anxiety and that's heavy. This is more of like, okay, this is more educational, informational. And I've struggled with gut health my entire life. And so it's just kind of been fun for me. So hopefully you guys can find that piece for you and you will. It might just not be right this minute, but you'll run into that piece for you that's fun that you can kind of create. You'll feel more creative off of that pillar, if that makes sense. And then you can do a post column. And then it's like, and basically, like I've said this before, but just take your real ideas and flip them into a post. Now, I've been sharing my reels, I've been kind of cross posting them. I don't usually do that. And I say cross post, I have to actually manually send things to Facebook. I don't have it set up to where everything I post on Instagram goes straight to Facebook. But I've been finding that people are liking to comment, like comment such and such word to blah, 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 and and it's been like interesting, and then people want to note, then that creates your algorithm, which or that boosts it, and then you're getting more engagement on it. Okay, so the last thing I want to say, and then I'm gonna let you guys go unless you have anything else, is so let's say, okay, so if we, and I know that was a lot, but like it's also very simple, and I wanted to keep it as simple as I could to mapping out your story and these pillars and ideas that you have, and you can build on this. But let's say like so like I looked up like an idea for a weekly structure example, and it was like Monday could be education. Because if you're somebody who's like, I need direction, or I just feel overwhelmed and there's all these things and I have no idea how to narrow in on this, like this thing I've got, this brain map, then it's like, okay, maybe Monday is education. Get specific on what you're educating on Monday. Okay, maybe you're going to educate on a post or a reel or both, and then in your stories you're going to elaborate more. I don't know, but there's an idea. On Tuesday, maybe you're going to talk about community. Maybe that's like a Bible study group. Maybe it has nothing to do with Green Compass, or maybe it's our Green Compass community. Wednesday is going to be product focused. So maybe there's a certain product that you're using. Maybe it has nothing to do with Green Compass. Maybe it is one of our products. And then Thursday is lifestyle. So that, like, I have this real idea I'm going to do tomorrow, I think. And it's basically like, I'm basically just showing pieces of my house in my day that aren't glamorous at all. And I am going to share that in a, like, it's going to be better than what it sounds, but basically just allowing people to feel relatable, that like not every day is glamour, like not every day is, and I have a mess here, and this is not because people feel like social media is such a, fancy, like perfect thing. So that's just hopefully going to be a relatable post. So that would kind of be like more of like a lifestyle post. So Thursday might be lifestyle, Friday is engagement. So maybe you're going to do like a poll or a fun challenge and something to really gauge people, but engage them. Saturday is going to be a behind the scenes. So maybe you're going to be doing, maybe you're talking about a pop up that you're doing and what goes into putting that together. or showing the event that you're at. Maybe it's, like if we were doing a team call or something, maybe it's talking about that. Again, that's behind the scenes. I don't really know. That's not the best category if you ask me, but it's just something thrown out there to ponder on. And then Sunday, maybe Sunday's a rest day, like a story day. You're going to maybe recap, or you're going to do like a gratitude message, or you're going to maybe share your Sunday hacks of how you reset for the week or how you put rest into action, because rest is an action. And then you are going to allow them to give them ideas on how to start their week, with a calm nervous system. So, all of those things, really can come back to Green Compass and to share. That's where I think like it's so important to weave in your product and weave in your story, but the majority of what you share should be your life and how you fit things in and what you do, because people want to know. And if you have a solution, and we have multiple solutions beyond Green Compass, and we can give those to people, and then it becomes more of a blended um multi like pillared story versus just like, okay, it's just Green Compass and you need to share it and you need to do this. Because I even though I like a good action hour, I think sometimes it's so like then we just feel like, okay, we need to get the work out there and I need to do the task, and in order to be whatever, then I have to put that out about Green Compass. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope that this kind of got you thinking about things and sort of gave you ideas to be creative and allow yourself to post things that maybe aren't your norm, right? Like sometimes I think we don't know if we don't put something out there. And when we do, we're like, oh my gosh, that was really cool because I see, and that's what I'm experiencing right now with this story and journey and new thing that I'm sharing. Because I would have had no idea, because I feel like there's 70,000 accounts out there that are talking about gut health and whatever, right? And so I'm just like, nobody cares. Like it's old news and I'm late to this game. But that's how I feel. But because everybody's been pooping and I haven't. And so it's like, here I am. But anyway, so it's just like hopefully it helps you to have fun with it and just be creative and feel free to brainstorm or share those ideas. But I think you can use this in any area of your life on any kind of project or anything that you are doing. This could be something really helpful. So, all right. Well, there you have it. Happy Tuesday. Thank you all for getting on. I'll get this recording posted, and I'm excited to kind of see what you guys come up with and ideas and posts and content that you decide to create. So, all
Thank
right.
you very much
Yes.
because you know what a slumpy mood I've been today was hard. So
Yes.
this is again, I had two choices and I just know like this team, this community just brings love into your heart. So and like your story, like as I said, it's laughter heals, right?
Yeah.
So girl, you kill me.
Aw. Well,
Thank you for taking the time out, Tabitha.
you're welcome, and thank you guys for taking time out of your day. I appreciate you all so much, and you just reach out if you need anything, and we're doing our community call next week with Lindsay and I, so that'll be really fun, all of us, but Lindsay and I think are leading that one, and we're gonna just do a fun community like kind of game night together. So I'm really excited about that because that'll just be something different. So, all right, good night, you guys. Have a good one.